Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of El Pueblo Unido March edition. Yes, we're done with winter for now. We're about to start getting into this beautiful Georgia weather. But before we start talking about what we're gonna have today, let me introduce to my two favorite hosts. First, Marifer.
Hello, everyone. Marifer Vizcaíno with the Leadership Department. And I'm so happy that you chose us to join you in your afternoon or morning, whenever you're listening, whether it's in your car, your house, your office, I don't know, at the gym. We're just so grateful that you invited us into your personal area, wherever that is. Anna?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for letting us be part of your day. Ana Alvarez, also with the Leadership Department. I'm very excited for this episode. We have some great guests, including Ricardo from Gracias and a winner from the 2025 Leyendas Essay Contest. So, without further ado, El Pueblo Unido will be right back.
And welcome to Lo que nos importa. This month, nos importa Women's History.
Yes.
So as you guys know, it's March. It's Women's History Month, and there is just so much history, not only here in the States, but in our respective countries around the world, about all the brave women who have paved the path for us to be here today on this podcast speaking to you. So as Anna mentioned, we have an essay contest winner, Betsaida Dominguez Garcia, who spoke a little bit about last year. She placed in our essay contest, and she spoke about the importance of women in the agricultural field, but also their plights, what they go through every day. So a lot of respect to our women, our immigrant women as well, who from farm to table bring us sustenance, whether they are our agricultural workers or our family. And on the topic of the Leyendas Essay Contest, guys, we're almost to the deadline to submit your essay. But we do have a new category this year. Anna, do you want to speak a little bit about what that is for the essay contest?
It will be my honor. So, along with having our written essay categories, as we usually have, this year we're introducing a video category. So, anyone who expresses themselves more through a visual medium can submit a visual essay, if you will, with any one of the five prompts that we offer every year. And you will the winner of this category will get to present their video at the Georgia State Capitol, while the written essay winners will get to read their essays at the Capitol. So in this instance, there's only going to be one winner of this category instead of first, second, and third place as the essay categories have. But you will still get to win a prize and present your work.
And how much can they win?
$100.
What? I can buy
Well,
so
a
many
hundred
ice
dollar gift card. $100 gift card. Sorry, we're not giving out cash, but $100 gift card.
I,
I
I'm,
do want
I'm,
to clarify.
I'm sure they'll be happy to it. And that it's my first
Yes.
time hearing about the new category. So I know many contestants, especially now with the digital age, are able to express themselves better with videos. So that's really good that we have included that category.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're excited to look at those videos, read those essays, and throw a spotlight on you at the Capitol once you place.
I have my popcorn ready to see all the videos because I am very sure there are many, many talented people out there. So I'm just ready to see the work that you guys have prepared.
Yeah. And question: if they're wondering, can they edit the video, add some text, some graphics behind, or make it more flashy?
Yes, creativity is encouraged. However, we want maybe a 5-minute tops video. Please don't send us your film school audition tape.
Although you are free to send that to the respective audience, which is, a film school. But just express yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Express yourself, and yeah, use this time to educate yourself and others about farm workers here in the state and in the country.
Well, that was a really great information. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Marifer. Also, for our listeners, GIL program has started, so check out our social media so you can stay updates to all the cohort is doing this year. As I'm sure we'll hear from them in future episodes, and I'm sure they will say that this is the best cohort. So stay up then, catch up on what GIL is doing and what Galeo is doing. But in the meantime, El Pueblo Unido, we'll be right back. And we're back to our special guest with Ricardo Ramos. Thank you so much for joining us, Executive Director of Gracias. Before we start, Ricardo, tell our listeners a little bit about you, de donde vienes, like what were your motivations and everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. So I grew up, I was born and raised in Gwinnett, but mi familia es de Mexico. And so, I've actually learned Spanish before I learned English and grew up that way in a very Hispanic neighborhood. But I got my bachelor's from Georgia Tech. And then during Georgia Tech, I saw this big need. And so I created a foundation, the nonprofit Gracias, ATL. And so a little bit about Gracias is that it's a 501c3. And we provide resources to expand access to higher education in Latino communities.
Okay, and tell us how long Gracias has been going on.
So I founded Gracias, and it was August of 2023, so a little bit less than 3 years.
What was the specific moment or gap that you saw in the community that led you to start Gracias?
So I view nonprofits as a way to make up for gaps or lapse of resources in areas. And so, the biggest thing I saw, it was two factors. A, is just that there wasn't enough resources in schools. I went to Gwinnett, and the population of Gwinnett, the high school I went to, I was the class size of 650, 700 students. And so my cousin who recently graduated, she graduated from class size of 900. And so you can never have enough counselors to meet the needs of 900 students. You can never have enough resources. And so it was great about it is that Gracias could make up for that gap in resources and that gap in assistance and be that extra hand to help. The other issue I saw was just a lack of representation. So I'm currently in medical school pursuing an MD. And it wasn't until, I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood. I did my undergrad at Georgia Tech, and which is in Atlanta, and there's a lot of hospitals in Atlanta. I even did an internship during my undergrad in Miami, and it wasn't until I was 22 years old that I actually saw a doctor who is Latino. It took that long, even after being in Miami, that I saw a Latino doctor. And the only reason I found him is because I literally searched up my last name in the Grady database, and I saw it. Just because my last name is so Hispanic. But if it's just that lack of representation that's going on, not seeing a lot of people who are in succeeding fields, not having that motivation because of lack of representation. I remember some of the first events that I did was a STEM college fair. And so we went to Sweetwater Middle School in Gwinnett County, and we tabled and talked to close to a couple hundred students, 6th to 8th grade. And then we asked them, upon tabling, what do you want to do when you grow up? what are you thinking about? And a lot of the kids said, like, oh, my dad does construction, so I'll probably just do construction. Or like, oh, I'll just take over the family business. Or like, I don't know, my mom like cleans houses, my dad does yard work, so I'll just see what like happens. And it's just that lack of representation, because when you look at affluent communities who are children of doctors and lawyers and like politicians, they are seeing that example. But when we look at especially Latino communities that are under resourced, where is that example? And one of the biggest factors in academic success is parent involvement. And so especially in under-resourced communities where the parents are either overwhelmed or they're not able to get as involved, they don't have that place to give encouragement for their child or to give that example. So that just makes it even less likely. So the great thing about Gracias is that not only does it serve as a helping hand, but it's like a big brother or a big sister that shows you that this path is possible.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I feel like we see that too with Galeo in the leadership department, how many people mentioned that it might be the first time they're in a space where it's full of Latino professionals, or just growing up with that lack of representation in Georgia, especially with how young our population is here.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask, while researching Gracias, I read about near-peer mentorship, and I don't think I quite know what it is. Can you tell me what, define it, and then tell me why that's the approach you're using for mentorship compared to traditional counseling?
And so in Gracias, we have kind of 3 pillars or 3 areas that we provide support. So it's either resources, advocacy, or it's mentorship. And so through mentorship, we have a program called MAS, Mentoring Aspiring Scholars, for seniors. And then we also have a program called Muchas, motivating underclassmen for higher academic support. And so obviously I love my acronyms. But the great thing about Muchas and MAS is that it allows students to be mentors in their local high schools. And they meet up once a month at the high school and just go through different topics and go through different guided conversations about like FAFSA, about like Common App, but other stuff as well, like networking or mental health, or like finding like clubs on campus. And so, you brought the idea of like peer versus traditional counseling. The traditional counseling is already there. It's already in place. But the peer is something that we could bring to the table. It's something that isn't already at the school. There's not college students at the school, So that's something that we could provide. It's better to explore one's originality to make a bigger impact than to reinvent the wheel. And so the other great thing about the peer is that obviously, this is a 19-year-old giving advice to a 17-year-old. They were 17 2 years ago. They could, if they really, it's a lot more easy and more comfortable for that teenager to talk about certain issues or to ask questions, because it's like you feel more comfortable asking a friend for help than asking an adult. The same thing. And then to break the ice, they could talk about the same memes or the same brain rot or the same 6'7", so it's just different things that it makes it more relatable. But the last major benefit is that it creates this kind of positive feedback loop. So like in the nonprofit space, we're always talking about impact, but we always want to make sure that the impact is sustainable and that the impact is progressive. And so the great thing about this peer mentorship is that, if a college student is helping out a high schooler, then that high schooler will have a higher chance of academic success and succeed in college. But not to mention that that future college student will feel the same passion to give back, and will continue that trend of mentorship and that trend of altruism. It's like I always tell my volunteers, it's very important to succeed. But when you succeed, don't remember your roots, because your roots is what keeps you on the ground, but also your roots is what helps you rise other people up.
That's amazing. And that could be another acronym, roots. We'll put that on the draft board. But in the meantime, great conversation. We also have pictures, Ricardo, you provide for our viewership. So if you can just take a few minutes and explain what was the moment behind it, how do you feel?
Yeah, so that the right there that's when we recently expanded to Oglethorpe County. And so we've recently been expanding more into and really focusing a lot in rural counties, just because, when you look at the nonprofits and the way they're distributed and focused, when you look at Beaufort Highway, when you look at like Atlanta, when you look at Cobb County, there's a very big cluster. There's a lot of nonprofits there. But then when you look at Gainesville, there's less. When you look at Winder or Clark, there's even half of that. So the benefit of the rural counties is that, it's more opportunity for us to make an impact because there is more scarcity. And then also typically that's where there is less restrictions and less bureaucracy that we need to undergo so that we can make a greater impact faster. Mm-hmm. And so right there, that's when we had our first event at Oglethorpe County High School. The other great thing about rural counties is they have less schools. So it's easier to just hit them.
I will go to the next.
Yeah, so that's at the same event. And so we kind of gave out the shirts to get the audience riled up and to who doesn't like a free shirt?
Swag.
And then that one was actually at the Latino Day of the Capitol that Galileo hosted. So shout out to Galileo for hosting that, huh?
Was that your first time attending?
No, that was actually my second time. So I attended 2024. I wasn't able to attend last year, and then I attended this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. And then that one, that was during a TV interview with Channel 11. And then I was just talking to them about the importance of higher education, not just for the social mobility in Latino communities, but also what is the relevance to Georgia as a state. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people they see that we're focusing on getting Latinos into college, and they think that that's just only going to benefit Latinos, but that's not true. Because if higher education, I see that as the pathway to greater job opportunities, which leads to greater economic opportunities and improve communities and improve infrastructure. And so that improve economic opportunities and infrastructure, that benefits everyone, not just Latinos. So.
Yeah, talking about Latinos, on this picture we have 4 amazing Latinos. And for our newer listeners, believe it or not, Kyle is Latino.
Kyle's a blonde one, in case no one knows.
And then that one was at our volunteer retreat last August that we do once a year. And so that was almost everyone from our 4 different chapters in our leadership team. And that's a photo of me wearing the same shirt. Also wearing the same shirt. But also those are just photos from the volunteer retreat, just having a conversation with them about, like I'm talking about, being intentional on how we are operating in spaces. And so, this, I believe that this nonprofit has grown a lot, in just less than 3 years, we already are in 7 different counties, having close to 100 events annually, helping out thousands of people. And so the rationale I believe for why the vast growth is just because people really relate to it, and people feel really passionate about it, and they really, it was my idea, but it's our mission, and that's the mentality behind the organization. And so that's the volunteers that pulled out to Latino to the Capitol, just advocating. Because I always tell people, what we could do in the FAFSA event, we could do an alternative scholarship workshop every day. But if we don't change how the law is written, then that is not sustainable change.
Mm-hmm. And throughout those 3 years that you mentioned in all the events, what are some of the most common advice you have received or heard from the younger generation that taking advantage of all this that you guys are providing?
Yeah, so I always tell people that it only takes one conversation to change a life. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's the power of networking, that's the power of resources. And so like the thing that upset me the most about my college journey is that I would always find out about a resource the day after the application deadline, or I'll find out about it too late, you know. And so it's just about just literally saying that one sentence that, hey, this scholarship is available for you. And what if that was a full ride scholarship? You know, what if that was the difference between if someone went to college or someone didn't, or the difference between if someone went to Georgia Gwinnett College versus UGA, you know, and nothing against community college, but just to show like there's a difference in opportunity that could happen just from one conversation happening.
And I do want to preface this by saying this question that we don't want you to age yourself, but what has been the biggest challenge you face as a young founder building a nonprofit from the ground up?
Yeah, so I'll disclose my age. I am 20.
You do not have to. You do not have to.
It's all good. But so I founded this nonprofit in August 2020. In August 2023, at the age of 20, with no formal business education. You know, I'm not Bill Gates, right? And so, nor am I like a politician with high office. And so really the biggest obstacle was just figuring out how to build a foundation from nothing, you know. And like fortunately I had a lot of support from friends and families, and to give me that strong foundation and to be willing to be patient with me when I experimented different events and different programs. And so I quickly, you know, I like to think I'm a quick learner. And so there were really some themes that really propelled success, you know, like I mentioned, focusing on originality to create a greater impact and exploring niches versus just reinventing the wheel. You know, focusing on small sustainable programs instead of just like grabbing the first event. And the first semester that we ran this nonprofit, it was basically just any event that we could get. We would go and table and say hi and talk about college. But, you know, we have to be more organized. And so we are still, I mean, there's always going to be a trial and error process, you know, because things are always going to change. For example, we had a mentorship event in East Hall, where in our first iteration, it was very successful. You know, we had 7 students in that cohort. 7 out of 7 went to college, one of them on a full ride scholarship. But then when we look at this year, that attendance was very significantly reduced. And it was mainly because of differences in personnel and our nonprofit communication. And so there's always going to be different changes that arise. There's always going to be situations that change. But even if the program works, it can always get better. Mm-hmm. And so I really appreciate everyone who's been patient with me in the journey. And just, you know, like I said, like this has really been a student movement, you know, because like that photo that you showed earlier, those are let's look at the smaller one. Let's look at the Latino Capítulo, where there were 20 students, and there were 5 or 6 different colleges represented among those 20 students, all of them wearing shirts from the same organization, Gracias. You know, when we look at the annual volunteer retreat we had, that there were about 40 students held in that small office, and just talking about everyone just riled up and excited about the year that's going to come and what things we can run and what things we can't. So.
And going to your point of having a title or not being, not being a politician or not being Bill Gates, I think, and I'm pretty sure my co-hosts can agree with me in this, that you're proving that you don't need a big title, no matter your age, to make a difference and an impact in your community. And I think that is also the example you're setting to volunteers, to the high school students that you mentored, that you don't need those, yeah. I was gonna keep going through a list, but I think the important thing is that you're making an impact and you're showing what is possible when they say, when there's a will, there's a way.
No, and that's definitely true. You know, like you said, I had nothing to build off of, but yeah, you know, I think that we have made great strides, and it kind of just shows that all you really need is just an unwavering passion.
But I mean, I think you got to build off on your motivation and your passion. And I think that is a lot to build off on.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why students really are quick to pick up with it or resonate with it, because I basically tell them, like, when I have the introductory conversations at colleges, or when I speak at college chapters, I give them the list of barriers, and I'm like, raise your hand if you had one of these barriers, and they all raise their hands. Especially when we go to PWIs, predominantly white institutions like UGA, Georgia Tech, or Emory, and so that's where the contrast is even greater. But I always tell them, we took care of. You don't have to worry about the grant writing. You don't have to worry about the MOUs or the bureaucracy behind it. We just need the manpower and we need passion. So that's what I always tell people. If you sign as a volunteer, this is not a responsibility. It's an opportunity for you to change, for you to create change.
Absolutely. Leadership doesn't require a title. But thank you for everything that you do. And you did mention barriers, especially with the example of your students raising their hands. Can you talk a little bit about, or at least mention one systemic change you believe would most quickly close the educational gap for Latinos in the state of Georgia, and Latino students specifically?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I can't say that I wish everyone had all the money they need. That's never going to happen. But one thing that we can change is just having that kind of parent involvement, that kind of motivation early on. It's like I was going back to the story I shared about the middle schoolers, about how they don't have representation. And also a lot of people, they don't have that motivation. And then when you go into a high school classroom of seniors or juniors, but a lot of them are already set on, like, either they can't do higher education or they just don't want to because they've never seen it happen. That's where it's a little bit too late, and so we this whole conversation, we kind of established that if you have an unwielding passion, then you can make it happen. It's all about just enabling that unwielding passion from children from an earlier age, so that way they could keep on going and keep propelling forward.
That's amazing. And for like young students, high school, or parents that would like to learn more, be volunteers, how can they help Gracias?
Yeah, so our website is gracias-atl.org. Our social media tags is gracias_ATL. We have college chapters right now in Georgia Tech, UGA, Kennesaw, GSU, and then we'll have one in UNG in the fall. And so even if you're part of those colleges or not, there's definitely opportunity to volunteer as a mentor, to volunteer as like a student speaker, or just help out at tabling events. But the other thing for like even for the ones who are not students, just spreading the word around. We have monthly webinars, we have resources on our website, we have scholarship database on the website. This is basically like entry guides that we're leaving on the table. And so it's just a matter of spreading the word, using that WhatsApp, find a way to like embed it in the Cheeseman, just a matter about spreading the word to like, either friends that that are going to school or relatives that we're going to. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Again, thank you, Ricardo, so much for joining us and explaining everything. Any final words?
Another piece of advice I always tell people is that growth happens outside the comfort zone.
That's amazing.
I like that advice. Thank you so much for your time, for your inspiration, and thank you for everything that you're doing for our community. And El Pueblo Unido will be right back.
Y regresamos con Latinos en Acción. Para esta sección tenemos algo muy especial para todos nuestros personas que nos están escuchando, porque todos pueden poner acción, y eso se refiere a estar informados para las elecciones que están pasando y registrarse a votar y saber cuáles son las fechas importantes. Una por una, tenemos el último día para votar en el Distrito 14. El Congreso de los Estados Unidos va a ser martes, marzo 10. Siguientemente tenemos las otras elecciones especiales para los otros distritos, que es el marzo 13, viernes 13. Uy, qué miedo. Y las elecciones especiales para el último día serían el martes 17 de marzo. Seguimos con la fecha última para poder registrarse para las elecciones primarias. Eso quiere decir que todo el estado de Georgia sería el lunes 20 de abril y el último día para votar en esas elecciones sería el viernes 15 de mayo y el final día donde ocurren esas elecciones sería martes 19 de mayo. Muy importante recordar que sería el martes. Luego tenemos nuestra última fecha para registrarse para las elecciones generales de Georgia. Sería el lunes 5 de diciembre y el último día para votar anticipadamente antes del martes sería el viernes 30 de octubre. Para las elecciones generales, el gran martes sería el 3 de noviembre. Recuerden hacer su plan de votación para usted y su familia que quieran ir a votar anticipadamente o saber su localidad y su área de votación. Visitar la página mbp.sos.ga.gov y recuerde que para hacer su plan de votación para compartir estas fechas con su círculo cercano, puede visitar nuestra página georgiavota.com. Recuerda, es muy importante hacernos saber, hacer nuestra voz escuchar y votar. El poder latino es muy importante y estas elecciones reflejarán todo el esfuerzo que hemos hecho. Gracias y recuerde, el pueblo unido regresa.
Welcome back to El Pueblo Unido. We are here in our section, Ponte Las Pilas. I'm Ana. I'm here with Marifer, and we are joined by Betsaida Domingo Garcia to talk about our annual Leyendas Essay Contest. Hi, Betsaida. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are very excited to have you. So can you please introduce yourself and tell us what category did you submit an essay for last year?
Yeah, of course. So as you had mentioned before, my name is Betsaida Domingo. I entered the contest last year under the high school category. And at the moment, I was a 12th grader. I was a senior, but currently, as of right now, I'm a freshman in college. Sorry.
Congratulations. What college are you attending?
I'm currently attending Agnes Scott College.
Ooh, well, thank you so much for taking the time of your busy college schedule because, you know, we can all imagine it's very busy to talk about this very important event for us.
Yes, thank you so much, Betsaida. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did want to ask, when you heard about the essay contest, why did you want to submit an essay for last year's Leyendas Essay Contest?
Well, the way I heard about the essay is kind of like weird, I guess I could say. Well, not really, but I had seen it on my Instagram For You page and I found it interesting. I was like, wait, this is like a really, sounds like really interesting contest. Let me just see. And I had Googled it and I saw last year's essay winners and I had read over their prompts, over their essays. And I find it really intriguing. And I was like, I think I want to do that as well. And at the time, I was kind of in the midst of college applications and everything. I kind of wanted to focus on something else. And I read about the description and what it was, and it just intrigued me so much. And especially coming from I'm a first generation student, so coming from a family of immigrants and they're farm workers, I was like, I could really just talk about this based on my personal experience. And as I was doing some research, I ended up like finding out about all the things that women in farm working go through. And I was like, wait, I really want to like spotlight them because not a lot of people talk about them. And I guess like it just kind of like opened a new door for this new research. And I really enjoyed it. And that's why I had submitted like an essay, not thinking I was gonna win. I like totally enjoyed the process. And like I didn't really think I was gonna win, but here I am.
And it was a beautiful essay, very well deserved, your place. And I'm also learning that our ads work. So Izzy, our producer backstage, we're taking notes. Our ads work.
So you went a little bit into your essay. We have, for those of you in our audience that don't know what the Leyendas essay is, if you are interested, we offer 5 different prompts for you to write about in the essay contest. So what was your essay about?
My essay focused on the struggles and resilience of women in the field, especially because I feel like they go through so much that not a lot of people know about, and that's something that really inspired me to just write about them. For example, like I wrote about the injustice these women face, like low wages, sexual harassment, exploitation, and then their exposure to pesticide, which harms their fertility rate as years go on. And that's just something that I really wanted to highlight because I mean, I didn't know about it until I researched it. And I probably would have never even learned about it if it wasn't for this contest. And I'm so grateful for that because I know Georgia is like a state where farm working is really big, especially like in the South. So I just always have that in the back of my mind whenever I'm eating. Like there's like some women that are still probably going through like all of these issues because not a lot of people talk about it.
Absolutely. And I think every year with the essay contest, we learn more about the resilience of our community in the agricultural sector, but also what they go through, whether it's, well, as you wrote, Inger, as a negative, the harassment, the pesticides, etc. But I feel like the overall experience, especially reading it at the Georgia Dome, kind of it's a form of advocacy for them. So when you read your essay at the Dome, did you feel any particular way? Well, how was that experience for you?
It was definitely an unforgettable experience. I remember when you first contacted me saying I had won and that I was gonna read it at the Georgia State Capitol. I like was so excited to tell my parents, and like no one has ever set foot in my family inside the Georgia State Capitol. So just being like one of the first people to step foot alongside my mom and my sister was a really big achievement for myself. And just stepping on to that platform and talking about women and farm working and agriculture and the things they face was just like a really powerful moment for myself. I just seeing like the audience and like the way you guys hyped me up because I had shown up in my traje, in my typical traje de Guatemala, and I like didn't want to do that, but mom was like, "Yeah, like you can do that. I mean, you're proud of who you are, right? So in a way, that's kind of representing my background, my heritage." So I was like, "Okay, I can do that." But the way you guys hyped me up and everything, it was just like a wonderful experience. Like I absolutely loved it. I loved being able to share something really important to the community.
And the audience can see your dress in the pictures that are being displayed right now, which is beautiful. Like that dress is so beautiful. So as we mentioned, you won, and not only did you win, you won first place. So how, what did it mean to you to win the high school category of the 2025 Leyendas essay contest?
It meant a lot to me actually because as I stated before, like I was going through like college, like deciding what college I wanted to go to or looking at these scholarships, and it was like throughout that time I was like getting a lot of rejections from scholarships. I'm not gonna lie, But like this like one win, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I won. I had like passed it through my teacher so they could also read it because like at first I had done it in English before submitting it, and I was like, I low-key think I want to do it in Spanish. I want to submit it in Spanish because it's so much more powerful in Spanish. And they're like, yeah, you got that. Just submit it in Spanish and you're gonna win. Watch. And I was like, I don't think so. Like I just really was doubtful for myself. But like once I won, like that really like meant everything to me. I was like I'm still in shock till this day that I won. And it just made me really proud. I mean, it made my parents proud. It made like my sisters like got to see that experience of me going to the Georgia State Capitol, and I think that's something that really impacted me because they can see the older sister doing stuff that they probably like would never imagine, and that's kind of setting their path to success in a way because they're like following my steps in a way too. But I also want them to like overachieve me. So just like doing all of that just meant a lot for me and my family.
Absolutely. And I can already tell you're their superhero, their role model. And I hope that how old are your sisters?
One is 14 and one is 12.
Okay. So in like 4
Ya
to
mismo.
And 6
Ya mismo.
6 years, they applied for the scholarship for the essay contest as well. And as you know, this is our annual competition. We have the 2026 Leyendas Essay Contest live for everyone, and we have you might not have known this, but a special category for videos as well. So if anyone wants to get creative and submit a video version edited with our prompts, they can do that. But what would you say to those who are on the fence on why should they submit an essay this year?
I would truly encourage everyone who's looking at the essay to submit their essay because it just is another way to research on the things that a lot of people face, especially like in agriculture or in other places like that. Because as I said before, this essay opened the door for me for research that I probably would have never researched if it wasn't for this essay. And it's truly an opportunity to just like honor our history, share your voice, and like, you know, your words have power to them. So just you being able to like research, write about it, and like if you like win, you have that chance to share with your own voice and advocate for those that you're talking about. And I just think it's a really great opportunity. I mean, I've been telling everyone here at Agnes, I was like, hey, like I think you should really like submit your essay to this contest. And I like some of them have already read my essay, and I know some of them are gonna like look into it. They've been telling me that they're looking into it and looking into potential like, research topics to like write their essay about. But I'm just like, it's a great opportunity. Like really, like you should take advantage of it.
You're so sweet.
Yes. And for those who are interested in applying, especially your Agnes friends, the deadline is March 15th. The categories range from civil rights, nonviolence, the women in the agricultural field here, especially in Georgia, as well as Latinx trailblazers in Georgia. So if that interests you and you could win up to $100 if you place, I just think that's a great opportunity, especially for college students, to make a little cash while doing something outside of the classroom. And you get to read it at the Georgia Capitol. But thank you so much, Bitseda, for joining us today. I hope that your friends at Agnes submit an entry, as well as the people in our audience who are listening to us right now. Or if you've already been a part of the essay contest, invite someone over like Bitseda did to join, to submit an essay or video this year.
No, yeah, I definitely do encourage everyone to take advantage of that. I think it's a great opportunity to just research on all of these powerful topics that not a lot of people talk about.
Thank you so much for joining us.
course. Thank you so much for having me.
I
Hope to
cut
see
you
you
off,
around.
Marife.
No, I was gonna say I hope to see you around. Maybe GIL, we have that leadership program. So if you want to stay in touch with Galeo, we have a lot of fun events throughout the year.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And we'll be back with El Pueblo Unido.
And we're back. Hola, hola, friends. Gracias por estar ahí con nosotros. Soy Ramsés Jiménez con la Pinche Política. Y vamos a hablar con alguien que ha estado luchando por la comunidad latina en Cobb County por años. Fue director ejecutivo de la Alianza Pro Inmigrante del Condado de Cobb. Y ahora es el primer enlace comunitario latino en la oficina del departamento de Cobb County Sheriffs. Bienvenido, Deputy Carlos García.
Hey, Ramsés, un placer y privilegio de estar aquí en su show, ¿verdad? La Pinche Política, cuando recibí la invitación por parte tuya, ¿verdad? Para mí, cuando leí el título, me dije, wow, me digo, La Pinche Política, was like, what the hell? Pero bueno, digo, ya hablando sin pelos en la lengua, ¿verdad? Pero más que nada, Ramsés, primero que nada quiero darles gracias por la cordial invitación a ustedes, a tu equipo. Y también quiero mandar un cordial saludo a nuestra comunidad, a nuestra gente latina, hispana que nos está escuchando a través de esta plataforma. Y también un abrazo cordial por parte de, obviamente, de mi jefe. Tengo que hacerle alarde, ¿verdad? Del alguacil, Sheriff Craig Owens, que también está haciendo mucho por nuestra comunidad latina e inmigrante en el condado de Cobb.
Sí, muchas gracias por lo que están haciendo ustedes allá en Cobb County. Pero para la gente que no, a lo mejor no te conoce y no conoce también del Cobb County Sheriffs, cuéntanos un poquito de ti, qué te hizo a ti llegar a servir en el orden público y específicamente en Cobb County.
Pues, Ramsés, la pregunta, gracias por hacerme esa pregunta. Realmente yo comencé con la misma historia como todos, ¿verdad? Una persona inmigrante, una persona sin papeles. Soy mexicano, nacido en la Ciudad de México. Yo vine aquí a los Estados Unidos a los 19 años. Lamentablemente, como a mucha de nuestra comunidad, el proceso migratorio para hacer las cosas bien es un proceso larguísimo y es muchas veces casi inalcanzable, ¿verdad? Porque no solamente es un proceso largo, pero también es un proceso caro. Entonces, pues obviamente como muchos miembros de nuestra comunidad, pues me tocó vivir sin papeles por un largo periodo y hasta que eventualmente se me vino la oportunidad de legalizar mi situación y gracias a Dios me hice residente permanente en el 2016 y eventualmente en el 2020 me hice ciudadano de los Estados Unidos. En el 21 comencé a trabajar para la oficina de aquí del Sheriff del Condado de Cobb. Entonces, regresando en retrospectiva un poquito, Ramsés, ¿cómo empecé yo? ¿Cómo empezó el señor García o Mr. García? Por eso me puse ese título, porque mucha gente me conoce como Mr. García o Don Carlos, ¿verdad? Entonces, ya cuando recibimos el don, ya es un privilegio, ¿verdad?
Lo que te decía es otro nivel, ¿eh?
Ya es otro nivel, y entonces, como le digo a la gente, ¿verdad? Lo bonito de este trabajo y de los años de servicio, que la gente sola te dé el de Don Carlos o el de Mr. García, pues ya es otro nivel y un nivel de respeto que la misma gente te lo da. Tú no lo pides, la misma gente te lo da.
Eso sí. Pero tú has visto cómo han pasado las cosas aquí con nuestra comunidad latina y mucha gente tiene miedo, hasta desconfianza de la policía también, ¿verdad? Pero hemos visto que Cobb County está haciendo algunas cosas. ¿Qué estás haciendo tú para construir esa confianza y mejorar la comunicación con nuestras familias de ahí de Cobb County?
Ramsés, mira, mucho de mi trabajo, yo soy residente de aquí de Cobb County como ya 25 años que llevo viviendo dentro del condado de Cobb. La historia completa del condado de Cobb, yo la conozco como decimos, ¿verdad? Como la palma de mi mano. El señor García comenzó entre el 2007 y el 2010 como un activista defendiendo a la comunidad inmigrante en general, con o sin papeles. ¿Por qué? Porque nos tocó una situación que pues yo también la estaba viviendo en los zapatos propios, ¿verdad? De sentirnos perseguidos, que nadie nos escuchaba, estaban agarrando o arrestando y deportando mucha gente entre el 2007 y el 2010 aquí en Cobb County, que lamentablemente mucha gente, este condado llegó a ser conocido como el condado del terror. Entonces, no sé si muchos miembros de tu audiencia o incluso tú, Ramses, llegaste a escuchar conversaciones o no sé si te acuerdas de esos tiempos entre el 2007 y el 2010. Estuvo muy duro aquí en Cobb County y en Gwinnett County as well. Lo que me llevó a, como decimos, a dar un paso al frente para defender y apoyar a la comunidad fue cuando empecé a ver una ola de injusticias en contra de nuestra comunidad latina, nuestra gente trabajadora, que estaban siendo deportados masivamente entre el 2006 y el 2007. Fue ahí cuando yo creé, al lado de otros amigos, la Alianza Pro Inmigrante del Condado de Cobb y subsecuentemente me convertí en el director ejecutivo de esa organización. Uno de los grandes logros de esa organización fue de que a través de mi activismo en ese entonces, o advocacy, fuimos, una de las metas fue quitar la 287G de aquí de Cobb County. Eventualmente me reuní con varios jefes de la policía de aquí de Cobb, me reuní con el ahora actual sheriff y cuando él me dijo que iba a correr para la oficina política de la agencia, me dijo que si lo apoyaba. Yo le dije, bueno, pues ahí te apoyamos porque yo digo, el señor García no viene solo, yo vengo con todas mis tropas, ¿verdad? Vengo con el pueblo, con la comunidad latina, la comunidad que vota también. Le digo, te apoyamos, pero hay un pero. Me dice, ¿cuál es? Quita la 287G de Cobb County y tienes nuestro voto.
Eso.
Me dice, ok, Carlos, trato hecho, ok, hombres de palabra. Nuestra comunidad latina nos apoyó mucho, hicimos campaña política y eventualmente pues ganamos la oficina de aquí del Sheriff de Cobb County. A las 2 semanas se firmó el documento oficial del desmantelamiento de la 287G aquí en Cobb County. Ese fue uno de los logros a través de mi liderazgo bajo la Alianza Pro Inmigrante del Condado de Cobb. Y también con eso, pues obviamente se frenaron las deportaciones y detenciones arbitrarias de nuestra comunidad inmigrante aquí en Cobb County. Eso ocurrió en el 2020, cuando quitamos la 287G. Entonces, no sé si eso responda a tu pregunta.
Sí, y mucha de nuestra comunidad sabía de que no podía ir a Cobb County en esos tiempos y al igual Gwinnett, porque si te paraban por algo, te llegaban muchos policías igual ahí, como si hubieras hecho algo malo, aunque sea como, driving without a license o cosas así. Y igual yo también, a mí me arrestaron en 2010 por no licencia, por lo mismo, porque Fayette County estaba haciendo lo mismo con 287G. Pero yo conozco mucha otra gente también que estaban ahí en sus work clothes, o sea, tenían su ropa de meseros que iban a ser reportados. O sea, sí, estamos viendo que estaba afectando a gente que no debería de afectar, gente que estaba haciendo las cosas bien, pero al igual como tú dijiste desde el principio de que el sistema inmigratorio toma mucho tiempo, no toma mucho dinero y es simplemente hecho para la gente que tenga dinero, ¿no?
Tristemente, Ramses, tienes toda la razón y si realmente lo vemos en las cosas, ahora sí, hablando sin pelos en la lengua, los Estados Unidos es uno de los países más caros a nivel mundial para vivir y trabajar. Entonces, imagínate si una persona inmigrante va llegando de su país, estamos huyendo a la pobreza, pues obviamente no vamos a llegar con miles de dólares, ¿verdad? Es un proceso que es un proceso largo, muy estresante y muchas veces, como te lo repetía, es casi inalcanzable para nuestra comunidad inmigrante. Ahora que esta pregunta me la hace mucho también la gente, ¿verdad? Es que se sienten como criminales y todo eso. Le digo, mira, primero que nada tenemos que aprender y entender, ¿verdad? Que el estar en Estados Unidos realmente no es un, ¿cómo digamos? Haz de cuenta que es una falta administrativa. no es un delito, así como un crimen, como robar, ¿sí me entiendes? Es una falta administrativa y es una gran diferencia entre un delito mayor y una falta administrativa. ¿Qué quiere decir de eso? Una falta administrativa es como cuando vas por la carretera y te pasas un stop sign o estás haciendo un speeding, ¿sí me entiendes? Realmente no es un crimen, es una falta administrativa. Entonces, por ahí, por esa parte tenemos que comenzar también como comunidad de que mi mensaje es que no se sientan así, no sé, yo sé que el sistema a veces los hace sentir como criminales, no se sientan así, también tenemos aliados, gente como yo no soy el único que está trabajando aquí en las fuerzas del orden para obviamente apoyar e informar a nuestra comunidad, ¿verdad? Y también darle las herramientas que la comunidad necesita para que también no se metan en problemas, carnal. ¿Verdad? Porque una cosa es de que vienen manejando del trabajo o van a dejar a los niños en la escuela y otra cosa es ya andar en el celular, que ahorita muchas de las detenciones son por las distracciones. Yo te puedo contar muchos de los casos, Ramses, incluso la misma gente sabe, te vas a cualquier centro comercial latino, van saliendo a la comunidad, lo primero que hacen, agarran el teléfono y se pegan al volante y moles, se van manejando con el teléfono en la mano.
Me imagino.
Entonces, el estado de Georgia, todos sabemos que esa es una ley de manos libres. En otra ocasión, una señora me dice, pero yo no traigo el teléfono en la mano. Le digo, correcto, yo le he visto que no lo trae en la mano, pero lo trae pegado al pecho. La misma ley dice que no puedes tener ningún dispositivo electrónico amarrado o en tu cuerpo. Entonces, es que yo no sabía, le digo, mire, tristemente el no saber es lo que a veces nos mete en problemas.
Y eso hemos visto mucho, ¿verdad? Que ha habido mucha desinformación en nuestra comunidad. Y por eso te quería preguntar esta siguiente pregunta. Como ha habido mucha preocupación sobre cómo trabajan junto con las autoridades locales y las federales en temas migratorios, ¿verdad? Y hemos visto algo con incluso Marieta también. Pero para que nuestra gente sepa información real, ¿qué debería entender la gente de COP sobre cómo funcionan las cosas con el COP Sheriff's Department y también pues, todo eso de la inmigración?
Pues mira, nuestro mensaje, un mensaje oficial de parte de la agencia del Sheriff Craig Owens, porque él es mi jefe, aquí en la agencia, en la oficina del alguacil del condado de Cobb, no ha cambiado nada. Seguimos trabajando lo regular, como lo dijimos, trabajando con nuestra comunidad, obviamente, nuestra comunidad de bien. Ellos atraviesan, sí, en dado caso llegan a nuestro centro de detención, ¿verdad? Se les da la oportunidad, obviamente, como todos tienen, de hablar con un juez, con un abogado, y si el abogado es el que dice, ¿se le da fianza o no se le da fianza? Son los abogados, los jueces, perdón. Entonces, pues, eventualmente, aquí, si la familia llega a pagar la fianza, pues, están saliendo. Por otra parte, cuando hay delitos mayores, y nosotros sabemos cuáles son, muchas veces el mismo sistema les pone una banderita o una de detención por el delito del que se les acusa, y en este caso me refiero a delitos mayores como incluso mucha violencia doméstica también, asaltos agravados, felonías ya de carácter de felonías, ¿verdad? También tenemos que recordar, Ramses, que bajo la ley SB 1070, ¿verdad? Que es estatal, que también ya está en vigor, ¿verdad? Y la ley del Lincoln Raleigh Act, que es a nivel federal, las dos son muy duras, ¿verdad? Y sí dictaminan que también incluso un cargo por violencia doméstica puede ser deportable. Entonces, nuestra misma comunidad, ahora sí, como decimos en México, ¿verdad? Hay que andar derechitos, ¿verdad? Entonces, como yo te lo decía, mira, muchas de las detenciones se originan por distracciones, en andar manejando, andar distraído en los celulares. Mucho lo que hemos visto también, los niños no están en los boosters, en los asientos de atrás, los niños están dando vueltas, correteándose uno con el otro ahí dentro del carro, la mamá pegada al celular. Entonces, no es por hablar mal, pero es las cosas que se ven en la calle. Y eventualmente un policía los ve, los para y les pide la licencia. Tristemente muchos no o carecen de ese documento. Entonces, no solamente ya sería si el policía tal vez está pensando dejarlos ir con un boleto o un ticket, pero ya se le juntaron los otros cargos de traer a los niños sin asiento, se pasó la luz roja y encima de todo iban pegados al teléfono.
Me imagino, sí, pues ahí ya es otra cosa, ¿no?
Exactamente. Y Ramsey, mira, yo te digo, mira, yo le digo a la gente aquí en Cap County, mucha gente me conoce, ¿verdad? Porque luego me dicen, no, es que tú regañas mucho a la gente. Le digo, mira, no es el regaño, es la prevención. Que la gente lo tome como regaño, ese yo no lo puedo ayudar. Pero parte de mi trabajo es la prevención y la información para evitarles dolores de cabeza a nuestra comunidad.
Sí, ese es como el papel que la comunidad toma, ¿no? Para construir esa confianza también pues también con los demás. Y, o sea, ahora estamos viendo que la diversidad ha ayudado a Cobb County, ¿no? Hemos visto que el 287G, por el sheriff, ha sido quitado, igual por el trabajo que tú has hecho y que la gente inmigrante ha hecho ahí también. Entonces, ahora que estamos a este punto, ¿qué tan importante es que la oficina del sheriff refleje la diversidad de la comunidad que sirve?
Perdón, Ramses, ¿puedes repetir la pregunta?
Sí, perdón. ¿Qué tan importante es que la oficina del sheriff refleje la diversidad de la comunidad que sirve?
Es extremadamente importante, Ramses, porque mira, algunas veces cuando hay malentendidos culturales que han pasado, ¿verdad? Pueden resultar en eso, en un malentendido, y por un malentendido alguien acabó arrestado o arrestada. Entonces, sí es súper importante que la misma demografía que vive en Cobb County sea representada en la agencia. En este caso, pues el alguacil Sheriff Craig Owens sí se ha hecho hemos hecho, porque soy parte de la administración, hemos hecho un buen trabajo en el sentido de reclutar muchas minorías. Me refiero no solamente a afroamericanos, latinos, asiáticos, oficiales, deputies, para representar la demografía del condado. ¿Por qué? Porque mira, muchas veces, tan solo el hecho de llegar con una familia latina, o cuando me ven o están atravesando sobre una emergencia, o nosotros llegamos y hablamos con ellos en español, mira, el lenguaje y ahora sí, como dice la gente, ¿verdad? Nos entendemos mejor. Si ya nuestra comunidad está pasando por una situación de estrés, de que fue víctima de algún delito, y llegamos nosotros y ellos pueden hablar totalmente en español con nosotros, pues yo creo que la misma gente se siente más segura, que ese es nuestro trabajo, la seguridad pública. Y por ende, pues en cierta manera nos tienen un poquito más confianza para traerles justicia, especialmente a las víctimas de delitos. Sí, es extremadamente importante que las agencias de gobierno en general, no solamente la oficina de sheriff, pero las agencias del gobierno en general representen a través de sus empleados o oficiales a la comunidad demográfica a la que están sirviendo, ya sea a nivel local, estatal o federal.
Y sí, es perfectamente dicho, ¿eh? Última pregunta para ti. Ya sé que hemos hablado un poco de lo que debe hacer la comunidad latina mejor también, ¿verdad? Pero si hubiera una cosa que quisieras que las familias latinas en Cobb entendieran sobre la oficina del sheriff, ¿cuál sería?
En muchos de los arrestos se producen por descuidos de la misma gente o distracciones, ¿ok? Y las distracciones, la principal es el teléfono, los celulares, llevar a los niños en los boosters o en los asientos para nenes, y a veces también el descuido, van pegados en el teléfono, se pasan la luz o dieron una vuelta donde no debían, y pum, ahí es donde los oficiales a veces les prenden las luces y subsecuentemente se dan cuenta que no tienen una licencia de conducir. Entonces, y una de las recomendaciones que le digo a las personas, y soy bien enfático en eso, eviten las distracciones que les pueden causar dolores de cabeza, especialmente los teléfonos celulares. La gente o nuestra comunidad en general, en vez de absorber y recibir esa información que yo les estoy dando, se ponen a discutir conmigo. No es que ustedes también lo hacen, es que ellos también lo hacen. Mucha gente lo hace, eso es verdad. Pero si una persona no tiene un documento legal de manejo, ese es un error que no les puede, no lo pueden hacer porque eventualmente ya saben a lo que se expone. ¿Sí me entiende? Alguien con una licencia de conducir, pues sí, también están quebrando la ley, ¿verdad? Pero pues a ellos lo máximo se les da un citatorio o un ticket, pero cuando una persona que no tiene papeles y se pone a cometer estas faltas, pues puede terminar en algo más serio. Pues mira, que entendiera nuestra comunidad de que no todo es malo, no todos, o las agencias de ley están en contra de nuestra comunidad. Incluso hay otros reportajes, no son míos, también otros abogados han hecho documentales o videos aquí en la agencia del buen trabajo que nosotros estamos haciendo para servir a la comunidad en general, pero obviamente como yo el enlace de nuestra comunidad latina, también enfatizan, ¿verdad? Que nuestra comunidad latina tiene aliados y realmente no estamos siendo tan agresivos o agresivos enforzando leyes migratorias como en otras demarcaciones. Entonces, no todo es malo, tienen aliados, tienen amigos, tienen realmente servidores públicos, Ramses. Como yo les comentaba a nuestra comunidad latina, aquí en Cap County ya no hay excusa de que no sabían, de que no les daban información ni nada, porque no solamente soy yo, ¿verdad? Hay otros oficiales de la oficina del sheriff también que hablan español, también hay un muchachito que es el Deputy García, ¿verdad? Que él anda mucho conmigo, él también hace mucho para la comunidad, trabaja mucho con nuestra gente. En nuestro caso, Ramses, yo me enfoco mucho en nuestra comunidad trabajadora, yo visito centros de trabajo, supermercados, donde se concentra nuestra comunidad latina, y me pongo a la disponibilidad de nuestra gente, y eso precisamente es la introducción que yo les digo. Me presento y para eso estoy ahí, para ponerme al servicio del pueblo, y si tienen alguna pregunta, para eso estamos. Yo se los digo y lo enfatizo, ya no hay excusa de que, es que no sabía. A mí me pueden encontrar en las calles, también se puede meter a la oficina de sheriff, yo estoy bajo la unidad de relaciones con la comunidad, ahí aparece mi nombre, me pueden mandar mensaje tanto en español como en inglés, estamos para servirles.
Oficial Carlos García, muchas gracias por acompañarnos y gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí con nosotros en La Pinche Política. Soy Ramsés Jiménez, pero recuerden, la representación no es solo es quien está en el cuarto, es a quien llevamos con nosotros. Aquí nadie llegó solo, alguien cruzó una frontera, tomó un riesgo, trabajó un doble turno, aprendió otro idioma, dejó su tierra, ¿verdad? Para que nosotros pudiéramos estar aquí donde estamos hoy. Cada vez que vamos a votar, no votamos solos, no vamos solos, es como si votáramos por dos personas, y es por los que no pueden, ¿verdad? Llevamos a nuestros papás, a nuestros abuelos, a nuestra comunidad entera en nuestros hombros. Así es que nuestro voto es fuerte, nuestro poder es real, nosotros decidimos elecciones y no hay que soltar ese poder, hay que salir a votar, ¿verdad? ¿Por qué? Porque somos el Pueblo Unido. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having joined us for this episode. We hope that you enjoyed our conversations today. And don't forget that you can always follow us on our social media. We have our organization, Galeo Impact Fund, which you can follow on our different social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, TikTok at Galeo Impact Fund. And you can also follow Galeo on those same social medias with a different handle. So we have at I am Galeo and at TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and we have Galeo at Galeo.org on LinkedIn, Facebook, and X.
And don't forget, we also have our community resources on our website, galeo.org. If you go to the top right part of our website, you'll see a tab that says resources. You'll find anything from immigration or your rights. Last week we had last month we had Bia talk about planning your guardianship for your kids and estate and wills and trusts, that information is all there, always updated, always up to date for you, our members of the community.
Amazing. And Anna, Marifer, I don't know if you're aware, but we've been working hard. So we have the Latino Power Hour on Friday, April the 3rd. Get your dancing shoes, get your outfit, pónganse bien guapas, and tickets are selling out fast. So check out our Galeo website to get your tickets and be present. It's going to be at the 3120 venue in Norcross. You will not be able to miss it with all the music that we will have. And it's going to be from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So we will have plenty of music going on. Tómense un cafecito, something to keep you awake. Ana, Marifer, are you excited?
Oh yeah, I'm so ready to party.
Yes. We saw the venue a few days ago, and let's just say it's gonna be a good time. Time will be had.
All right.
It's a party, and we're gonna dance all night long.
Yeah, for our listeners, all supporters, we'll hope to see you there. And again, thank you to our guests. Thank you for sharing all the information. Thank you to our listeners. And remember, el pueblo unido
jamás
será vencido.
Sorry, did I jump the gun?
No. Bye,
I think
y'all.
it looked great. Bye.
Yeah.